think that the Grenville Lodge Enigma is the most important theme that needs to be dealt with in this overall video diary. Indeed, the Grenville Lodge Enigma is really where all of this began. Indeed, before I became located at Grenville Lodge, I was pretty much just a normal person brought up surrounded by British pop culture. Indeed, I actually hate myself before the age of 21. Indeed, I don't have much memory of my life before that time, so it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Grenville Lodge was where the mind control experimentation of me began. And indeed, the synthetic drug damage that I did to myself, I'm quite grateful for, because it allowed me to adventure into parts of my brain that I hadn't previously considered. So I am quite grateful for the fact that I became a synthetic drug junkie. However, I'm not grateful for the behavior modification that I underwent at the hands of Grenville Lodge mind control programmers, and later the GRU mind control programmers, and then later than that, other Department S34 operatives who mind control programmed me with anti-Semitic ideology, basically created a Nazi Manchurian candidate out of me for Gladio operations on British soil. So, still very interesting to consider. Indeed, I was inculcated with Nazi fetishist ideology by Dr. Leonard Johnson of Department S34, who basically hypno-programmed me to basically be a Nazi zombie, operating, in a sense, for the ambitions of Wiltshire Police. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that Department S34's operations were intertwined with those of Wiltshire Police in the overall carrying out of the Gladio agenda. So in effect, I was doing what Wiltshire Police wanted me to do as regards to the Nazi ideology and the promotion of Nazi ideology. Although this led to my arrest by Wiltshire Police several times, it seems that higher ups within Wiltshire Police were actually part of the organisation of the Gladio 4 agenda, of which I was a part, after the hypno-programming of me at various black sites across Wiltshire by Dr. Leonard Johnson, who is a key Department S34 programmer and an acolyte of some of the programmers and operatives that I encountered at Grenville Lodge during my tenure there. Indeed, a lot of the programming that I underwent at Grenville Lodge was part of Project Shatter within the wider Mindgate program, which was itself a dual program with Project Aniseed, the creation of the schizophrenic superspy. And indeed, the Shatter project was the fracturing of the personality into as many different compartments as they could possibly create. And indeed, within many of these compartments were installed alters. And indeed, it's interesting to note that many of the alters that have been installed in me by this secret network of British intelligence are Russian alters, so that if the plan of the British intelligence services backfired regarding my utilization as a schizophrenic super spy, they could enact the Blackwell legacy on me, i.e. they could frame me as a Russian spy. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, these Russian alters do have a tendency to bleed through into my day-to-day personality, and therefore my activities during these bleed-through episodes can be utilized as evidence by the British intelligence services for my being a Russian spy. So it's all very interesting to consider that it is actually the British intelligence services who have implanted me with Russian alters. Indeed, the GRU mind control programming that I went through hasn't helped this scenario at all, because they themselves implanted Russian alters into my personality also. It's interesting to note that these Russian alters that I have been implanted with can't actually speak Russian, but often tout Stalinist and neo-communist ideology which could be misconstrued by the British public as Russian spy activity. So it's interesting to consider, and indeed, this all has to do with the framing of me as a Russian spy by Department S34. So it's interesting to note. Indeed, I've stated before that Department S34 are not technically attached to MI5 and MI6. They are a private intelligence organization. However, they are within the boundaries of the British intelligence community, so they are technically indistinct from the state organizations of the intelligence community. So it's interesting to note, and indeed there are so many crossovers between MI5 and MI6 and the Department S34 network that it is effectively one intelligence community. And of course, the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst feature heavily in these networks also. Indeed, there are so many Nazi programmers within the Department S34 network. And indeed, Gunter Gottfried of the Asylum Keepers Guild is technically a Department S34 operative. Indeed, Gunter Gottfried has a personal interest in me and is analysing me for the Asylum Keepers Guild. And indeed, detailed notes are taken of my mental state as portrayed in these videos and are analysed by the Asylum Keepers Guild at their headquarters at Dachau, Dresden, and Leipzig. So it's all very, very interesting to consider indeed. It's interesting to note that the British police are utilising Stasi tactics on me, i.e. the creation of social isolation, the use of radiation as a weapon of warfare to destabilise me and weaken me, and the use of voice-to-skull technology, i.e. the implanting of voices, memories and thoughts into my brain by a electronically generated device. So it's interesting to consider indeed the British police are attempting to drive me as insane as they possibly can, and therefore they can point to my videos and say, look, this man is insane. So it's interesting to consider they are either going to go down the route of the Blackwell legacy, whereby they frame me as a Russian spy, or they are simply going to cast me as insane. Indeed, what's interesting about this is I am insane, so still very interesting to note. However, this does not mean that I am necessarily talking bullshit, because a lot of the theories and words of insane people are encrypted truth. You just need to decode, i.e. decrypt, what the madman is saying, and you get a lot of truth indeed. 20 to 30% of mental patients are known for visionary madness. And this ties in with Itzhak Bentov's theory that 20 to 30% of paranoid schizophrenics and mental patients are of a higher stage of evolution than the remainder of society. And indeed, this theory is deeply unpopular with the Asylum Keepers Guild, who are very much eugenicists and transhumanists and believe that only the elite are of a higher stage of evolution, which isn't actually the case. Indeed, the real visionaries in the society are to be found among the 20 to 30% of mental patients, as theorized by Itzhak Bentov. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Dr. Peter Cohen of Green Lane Psychiatric Facility, who is a Mossad mind warfare and programming specialist, does not like me utilizing Itzhak Bentov's theory of the 20 to 30% of mental patients, as he believes this bunkum, being from a eugenicist strain of Israeli intelligence who interweave with the Fourth Reich intelligence agencies of the DVD, and therefore with Department S34, who are coordinated out of the University of Buckingham's Grenville Lodge institution. So it's interesting to consider that is their headquarters, which is also deep in the heart of Hellfire Club country. So there is a lot of crossover between Department S34 and the activities of the Hellfire Clubs. Indeed, various professors of the Grenville Lodge Institute are both Department S-34 operatives and Hellfire Club initiates, as well as being Freemasons of the Royal Arch. So it's all very interesting to consider how all of this links up. Indeed, this is one Leviathan network as part of the sprawling British intelligence community. It is interesting to note that the British intelligence services do not serve the people, they serve the monarchy. So it's interesting to consider they are forced to swear a Sat Baha'i contract whereby they pledge allegiance in the utmost to the monarchy. And therefore, they are servants of the monarchy. Indeed, the Lighthouse Network, which is technically an Order of Nine Angles network and a New Eon directive, are themselves coordinated by networks connected to the British Royals, i.e. the Cecil family, and are therefore very much operating for the British monarchy. Indeed, the Lighthouse Network wished to semi-lobotomize me and rework my neural pathways and have me operating as a remote viewer for Crown Network. So it's interesting to consider that as a Project Aniseed test subject, I am still possibly going to be utilized by British intelligence in the coming conflicts. However, I wish to avoid this as much as possible, as I do not want to get dragged into any of the conflicts that the Defense of the Realm networks are creating, such as the false conflict between the United Kingdom and the Russian Federation, which is exactly that, a false conflict indeed. The Romanov family have an interest in the conflict as an experiment to see whether Britain can destroy the Russian Federation and reinstall the Romanov family on the throne of the Russian Federation as a puppet of the British monarchy. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. There are large networks of schizophrenic super spies on both sides of this conflict who do not want this conflict. So it's all very interesting to consider, and indeed, I believe a lot of the conflict is being generated by Nazis also. You have to consider that the Windsors are technically Nazis and were very close to the Nazi regime, although this is carefully concealed history. Indeed, how does this all relate to Grenville Lodge? Indeed, I believe that I was assigned into the projects of the Mindgate program, i.e. Project Shatter and Project Aniseed, i.e. the creation of a schizophrenic super spy, for a certain reason indeed. I fear that I may be being built up to be a Patsy. So the Blackwell legacy will be utilized, and I will be mind control programmed to assassinate British policemen, which could then be cast as a GRU operation, which will lead to possible overt hostility between the United Kingdom and the Russian Federation. Indeed, I do seem to be being built up to be a patsy, which is all rather annoying indeed. This may be the reason why I have not yet, since my discharge from hospital, been again incarcerated in a psychiatric facility. So it's interesting to consider the British intelligence services just seem to be monitoring my behavior and attempting to work out what to do next regarding this rogue schizophrenic super spy who has an issue with the British intelligence community. So it's all very, very interesting to note, and I'm honestly not too sure what is going to occur next, but the Grenville Lodge programming remains in my subconscious. Indeed, I still possess these Russian alter personalities, which occasionally bleed through into my normal conscious state. So it's all very interesting to consider. I'm technically many personalities in one human being, and the majority of these personalities have been implanted in me by Department S34, who seem to want to use me for some sort of purpose and are building me up to be hypno-programmed for some sort of operation and then dangled out to the public. Indeed, I will be a patsy for whatever British intelligence are trying to achieve. And this scares me. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there now.